What is up, my little Deinos? Vepsis, your coach of the Helsinki Hydreigons, and we are here for the Champions of Galar tournament season 2 semi-finals game when we go up against Puno 7 and his Chernobyl Dragalges. He is going to be somebody that we go up against yet again in this season. First time around it was the week 1 season opener, which unfortunately for my sake it did not go as I wanted to. And this is my opportunity to redeem myself from that and hopefully secure ourselves a finals appearance here in Champions of Galar, which would be a pretty big accomplishment in itself, and I feel confident that I can do it today. But it's gonna be a tough go. He has a tough team, particularly for my own roster to deal with, and we're gonna be going through the sets that I'm bringing. The team of 6 you can see on the left side above my face cam, the 6 mons that I'm gonna be bringing, and on the other side, on the right side of the screen of yours, you can see the 6 that I'm gonna be predicting for him to bring. And I'm gonna be going a little bit, I guess, in depth in reasons why I think this is the case. But in case you don't wanna be watching the Teambuilder portion, obviously with the YouTube, when you look at the timesheet, you can see where the battle starts. But in case you're interested, the matchup should be popping right about now on your screen for a few seconds. You can pause if you would like, but I'll try to keep it there so you get a chance to have a little bit of glance of seeing what we are dealing with here. So this is a matchup particularly that is tough for me because I don't currently own a normal type on the roster, similar to week 1 that I did not have on my team. The only normal type that I ended up having throughout the season was Kangaskhan, but the way things fell down in the trade deadline and Hydreigon became available, I decided that I'm gonna be making it worthwhile to pick it up, and it meant that Kangaskhan became a liability and something I needed to use for freeing up points. So Gengar will be by far the biggest threat, which is why I put it immediately on the right side of the screen, a first mon of the team for him, his side, and it did pretty well for him. Unfortunately, my Goodra got a little bit hacked down from the last time, which was my check to it, due to a hurricane getting a confusion and Goodra hit it itself, and it became pretty much a sack afterwards. And this time around, I don't think I can bring a very solid check, but one of those ways that I can sort of deal with it is gonna be my specially defensive Landorusterian. Now, we are running very specially defensive with it, just to ensure that if it's Icy Wind, as long as it's not a boosting item, I can still avoid being 2-hit KO'd. We are running Earthquake, Smackdown, Knockoff, and U-Turn. Last time around when I played him, I was actually Dual Dance with Lumberry, but I think in this kind of matchup, it's better for Landorusterian to be this bounce that can take a hit in a pinch from Gengar. It can take a hit from Jirachi if it's special very well. It can take the Zapdos' Hurricane a lot better now as well. And with Smackdown hitting the Zapdos, I make it go being grounded, and after that he should not really have a good ground resist on his team, which is one of the things I noticed already first time around playing him. Now, he does have something like a Alolan Person with Fur Coat, which will be a little bit of annoyance, and probably one of the mons that I had to really emphasize a little bit more than I already did last time, how I want to go about it. And it's probably going to mean that Landorusterian, or it does mean Landorusterian, cannot really be relied on as being one of the winning conditions. We are going to be relying on our next member of our team, being the NECROZMA, which should have beaten him last time, but I made a joke and not go for a second Dragon Dance when I should have gone for it in the position at the late game. But now we are running Dual Dance with Calm Mind and Atomize, and we are still running Lumberry. We are specially orientated this time around because I want to be able to break the person from special side. Now, I don't have a super effective move to hit with it, but hit rate should be doing a decent amount, and this enables me to Calm Mind versus something like a Jirachi, and I do bring actually screen support this week on Raikou, which can enable this thing to go even crazier versus him. And I wanted to have the Lumberry because I know he likes to run quite a few mons with Toxic, which is a fair play from his side. Like, it's not a bad move for certain to run like almost any week. So in case of like status is coming off or some random paralyzation that could happen, I want to make sure that this thing can be queued off from that if necessary. But this is going to be one of the winning conditions. If this doesn't win, I do have a Choice Scarfer as well in Hydreigon that hopefully can clean it up, but it has a little bit of a roadblock in the Conkeldurr. But we're going to be talking about that once we get there with the Hydreigon. Then we're going to be going through my lead set, which is a very weird lead set, but I guess similar to NECROZMA last week, that it was very weird with no stab moves. And we are going to be running Earthquake, Toxic, Stealth Rocks and Trick. And this is not gonna be Ring Target like the first time around, even though I really wanted to make Ring Target work because I think it's really cool in this matchup, but I needed to have a lead that can deal with his Persian. Now granted, this doesn't beat it 1v1, but the idea is that I outpace it, assuming it's not Choice Scout, which I don't think he will be, and I can trick it then to that Choice Scout, which means that Persian is a lot less effective when it cannot swap its moves, because now it cannot go for like knockoff or 4-play versus me. Usually the knockoff is the more annoying because I don't want to lose necessarily my items as often as possible. And it cannot no longer go for like a parting shot afterwards. It cannot toxic right away afterwards. So in a way to be able to kind of shut it down in that way would be important. And I'm kind of banking on him leading with it turn 1 like he did last time. And versus the team that I'm bringing versus the 6, I do think it's going to make a lot of sense for him to think that way. So ideally the turn 1 happens as I think that I outpace the person, trick it as he goes for a knockoff, I lose the leftovers, which is probably gonna be the likely item he's gonna be holding. Turn 2, I go for the Stealth Rocks, make sure that no matter what kind of play he makes afterwards, I get something out of the turn. And turn 3, when I'm assuming something like Gastrodon or Zapdos in front of me, most likely Zapdos, I will be going for the Toxic and put it on a timer, because I'm expecting him to go into it and go for a defog, so that should give me the opportunity to get that thing on a timer, because Zapdos being on a timer with Toxic is gonna be a lot easier for me to deal with and break it down that way. And maybe later in the matchup, Metagross, after it's been able to trick the person and Toxic the Zapdos, if I get any more value out of it afterwards, it's gonna be a plus. But that's kind of the idea, that ideally it can accomplish those things, because it's gonna open up my rest of the team significantly that way. Then we are gonna be bringing a modest Choice Specs Primarina. This is here to capitalize on a couple of things. One that he did last time in his preparation that I'm trying to take advantage of, which is the fact that he did not really bring solid fairy resist. He had some with like Gengar and Darmanitan being offensive resist, but they still didn't like taking the fairy move if I was offensive. He had Chiratzi, but it was a weakness policy and no recovery, so it still didn't want to take those hits. And Gastrodon, which was specially defensive versus me, regardless if he's fully specially defensive or not, as long as it's not like Assault Vest, so I don't think Assault Vest Gastrodon is a thing, I will 2-hit KO that thing with a Moonblast, and nothing else on the team really likes that. Then I have Scald just to have a Water Stab in itself, Energy Ball to really nuke the Gastrodon if it happens to not be a Rindoberry this time around, that will ensure the kill for sure. And then I have Shadow Ball to hit the other fairies like the Gengar and Chiratzi in a one move. It can be a big deal, especially if at some point of the battle later on there could be a scenario that I'm not holding Choice Specs anymore, so it's important to have the coverage moves to make up for it and hit the things in front of me hard enough if I need to afterwards. So that's gonna be the Primarina. Then we are gonna be bringing that Choice Scarf Hydreigon with Dark Pulse, Draco Meteor, U-Turn and Tailwind. Now my last move, at first I was kinda like saying that yeah sure there's a slower path as his Fairy type, let me put Flash Cannon. But more I thought about it, more I did like few mock battles that I managed to get to do this week. People helping me out in that regard. I noticed more often that there was really a never scenario I wanted to lock myself into Flash Cannon. So I went through its move pool, tried to think of anything that can give me a potential value over my stabs and U-turn, which are the moves that are mostly clicking in this matchup. And I figured that if Primarina at the late game is able to clean out the game under Tailwind better than like Hydreigon for example, being Scarf, I'd rather have the option to go for like a last ditch Tailwind if I think that alright Hydreigon, you cannot do this, but I have something in the back under Tailwind that can clean out the game for me. So I figured that you know what, in that sense I'd rather have the Tailwind. I don't want to run status on it like Thunder Wave or Toxic, because I do expect him to bring a Southwest Conkeldurr, very similar to set that he ran versus Dr. Slacking, who at the time he was playing still had the Hydreigon on his roster, and that was his measures of dealing with it. And I'm kind of banking on the fact that that's gonna be his swapping, and that's how I utilize Hydreigon to lure that thing with a U-turn, so then I can go to the mod that we talked about previously, being Choice Specs Primarina, because even if the Conkeldurr is Assault Vest, as long as I'm still holding my Choice Specs on Primarina, I will 100% OHKO it. Like, it's gonna be absolutely nuked unless it's like max HP and max PDEF careful nature, but I have not seen him running that kind of Conkeldurr really ever. throughout the season, and I don't think in this matchup it will either be the case in itself. So that's kind of the idea. Choice Scarf Hydreigon, learning the Assault Vest Conkeldurr, going to Primarina and click Specs move. Or if I get the Primarina behind the screens, it can also have an easy opportunity coming on Gastrodon and click Moonblast in itself, because the last member of our team is going to be likely Raikou with Discharge, Toxic, Reflect, and Light Screen. I could have brought like a sub-toxic Protect Raikou, which initially looked as the best set, and which he was actually prepared for to play versus week 1. But in this kind of match where I really do expect the Conkeldurr to come, I don't want to be banking on just being relied on using Toxic as a ways of wearing things down. I will have the Toxic to still cripple the Zapdos and Gastrodon when it comes down to it, but I needed Raikou to do something else in this matchup and kind of give me a ways of taking hits better from things like Gengar, Conkeldurr, Haxorus, for example. If it shows up, I really need Reflect then to be there for me, because I'm not really banking on having a pure defensive response to those kind of things. So I have offensive measures of revenge killing Haxorus at +1 with Choice Scarf Hydreigon, but just giving me extra bit of bulk either from physical or special side, or ideally even both, is really what I'm going after with this Raikou. I'm gonna be using this probably early on as a Zapdos switching, or potentially even a Chiratsi switching for that matter, and try to lure out the Gastrodon and get it on a timer, because if I get myself in a position that Zapdos is toxic, Gastrodon is toxic, and I have screens up, I can really start forcing progress from his side, like with something like a Choice Specs Primarina. All my Necrozma under the screens will force some progress, and I basically try to get myself to the point that either the Necrozma is winning with Autotomize up, or my Hydreigon with Choice Scarf will be winning, clicking, for example, like Dark Pulse at the end once his Dark Resist are gone. So that is going to be the team, and now let's go and see how this battle is going to be turning out. Alright, here we are with the battle versus Bruno, and it's going to be a very tough fight for sure. Somebody that we did go up against in week 1 in regular season. He managed to beat us, and it's a tough matchup, like on paper-wise. Something like a Gengar is going to be a huge threat to me no matter what. So let's just press A and see what he's going to be bringing. This time around, I still am keeping the ones that I'm guessing that will be coming. And we do get one wrong. What is the one that we are getting wrong? We are getting Conkeldurr wrong, and it's Haxorus this time around. Okay. So that could be like a Hop-on Berry Dragon Dance, or it could be just a first impression set to help dealing with the Necrozma, because he almost lost to it last time. So okay, so that means that most likely from his end, as I'm gonna be putting this just fine, I'm just gonna be putting almost ready to go. Basically just lock my mons and be like done in itself, because I'm gonna be writing these down to my showdown and then have final glance if I have time. So he brought Gengar, Chiratsi, Zapdos, Alolan Persian, the Gastrodon, and Haxorus. It's pretty big that the Conkeldurr didn't come, because that means that Choice Scarf Hydreigon does have a matchup to do decent amount of work. Frankly, the first impression would be slowing down for a little while whenever he gets to click it, but I'm gonna be sticking with my lead with Choice Scarf Trick Metacross, because ideally I see the Alolan Persian as a lead, and I cripple it right away with the Choice Scarf, so it kinda like starts swapping its moves, like Knock Off into Toxic or Knock Off into Parting Shot. That proven to be annoying last time, and I can follow it up from there. As he leads with the Chiratsi right away, so this could be a Choice Scarf Chiratsi potentially, or it's a hazard setting lead. But right away I'm gonna be clicking Trick, because if it's Scarf, it's gonna be U-turning. If it's not Scarf and like Stealth Rock variant, then I lock it into Stealth Rock. So I'll be clicking Trick regardless, as I'm faster. So it wasn't Choice Scarf until now, that is. And it was Combo Berry, and it has now, okay. So the winning condition potentially now is the Haxorus, because the Chiratsi in itself is not set up set. But I am Combo Berry, which is pretty big as well, because that's now taken away for Hydreigon. to be able to dark pulse it later. And it also means that Metagross can live the dark move from Persian a lot easier. But I'll get up my own Stealth Rocks now. As they withdraw. And it's gonna be the Zapdos. Okay. So here, because I do have a Colvo Berry, this does give me some value on this, so I don't actually want to stay in. And there's a good chance, because he got his own Stealth Rocks, that he is not hesitant to defog, as he was last time. So I'll go into Raikou. And that gives me opportunity to Toxic on the following turn, see, depending on what he does. He could be clicking also U-turn if he has it. We have Pressure. As he just goes for Thunderbolt right away. Okay. So here, because he doesn't have the Conkeldurr, he doesn't have a Guts user to absorb this. He could go into the Gengar, but I can Light Screen or Discharge in front of it. And the Gastrodon I would like to Toxic, or even this thing. So I go for Toxic. As he withdraws. That sounds like a Gastrodon for sure. And now let's get it on a timer. It will take Stealth Rock damage, and I land the Toxic. Good. Okay. And it's leftovers this time around. Okay. So this is a leftovers. Leftovers Gastrodon, so no Rindo Berry this time around. Now, do I just Reflect right away? I believe so, because it gives me an easier time to swap into Primarina. And if this is going for Earthquake, I believe I live the one hit at least. So I go for the Reflect now. Get that going for myself. As he does go for Earth Power, so he's different than last time. But I do live it as well. Now I don't believe I live Stealth Rocks anymore, so I might as well get up my dual screens here. Yeah, I'll just get up my light screen as well here while I can. It does mean that Raikou is most likely gonna die here first, which is unfortunate, but... So he had Earth Power on it this time around. As we see another Earth Power coming off, so he does manage to kill the Raikou right away. But I have this thing on a timer, and I have my screens up. My option here is honestly just going to my NECROZMA and try to break with it early. To try to get most out of these screens, which is gonna be what I'm gonna be doing. Put a right away pressure on him. In that regard. Because I have Lumberry if it's Toxic. And that Toxic is starting to racking up on him, so if I'm at +1 I believe I'll take it out. But he does hard withdraw. Into Addison, which is the Jirachi. So I go for Calm Mind here. And I believe I'm fine just going for a Totemize. I believe you would not be tricked with a Colvo Berry on it. So I go for a Totemize here. But that Gastrodon is relatively... It's not super low, but it's got like low enough. Okay, he has Thunder Wave on it. But I have Lumberry. Okay. So he's Thunder Wave on this. Does +1 take this thing out if it's not like more than max HP? Jirachi. There's a chance that I take it out. And if he's not max HP, then I have a better chance to do it. I think I'll just go for it. And get rid of this Jirachi for myself. We go for the Heatwave, please kill. As we just take it out. Let's go. Let's go. Jirachi is dead. That's very big that it did not manage to live that hit, because then I have now NECROZMA without an item, which means Knocko will not be doing too much. I am at +2 speed. And if the Haxor is his first impression, this is gonna force it to take a lot of damage. So this person now has to take as well. We are gonna be going Heat Wave again. We go for a Heat Wave. This should be doing a decent amount to you, as it does. As he goes for a Toxic and lands it. But this means that this person should be dead on the entry, which is pretty big, because now he cannot have parting shot support. It may actually live Stealth Rocks if he preserves it, but I doubt he would. So I go for another Heat Wave. As he withdraws. Goes into Gastrodon. He may try to do back and forth swap, but because the Stealth Rocks are up, he cannot get them too many times. And as long as this Gastrodon is getting worn down, it means my Hydreigon is freed up even further and further. Because the only other thing that is really stopping that right now would be like a... As he just does stay in. Hopefully this just takes it out right away. And I believe that killed it. Okay, Gastrodon is dead. So their 5th being the Gastrodon. I'm getting worn down to the point that if he does have first impression, he will bring the Haxorus off to finish me off. But I already worn down person to be very low. Yeah, this makes me think it's first impression. I could try to preserve this as a sack. But I don't know if I want to give this too many turns. Where do you come in handy? I think I'll go for the attack. I don't think I want to mess around with... Oh. Not first impression. And I just kill it. Okay. Good thing I didn't swap. Okay, I almost overthought it. And there goes the Haxorus. So now you have very worn down person, you have a Zapdos, and you have Gengar. And I should be able to kill at least one of them. As he barely leaves the Stealth Rocks. So now we go Heat Wave and kill the person. We go for the Heat Wave, and the person is dead. Alright, and now Landorus Dagger with Assault Vest looks very good for the remaining of the things. So the person is dead. And my NECROZMA is probably done as well. Which I will be taking off from the layout, so my second mon is dead. But NECROZMA, you did a lot of work in this game. I'm very proud of you. Here, I think just going into Landorus is the play. As he goes into the Zapdos. But I can smack down an Earthquake afterwards. And I have Choice Scarf Hydreigon in the back. So now we smack down. As he goes for Hurricane. Shouldn't do a lot because we are Assault Vest after all. He does confuse me though. Alright, we get the smackdown off. That's good. And that is doing good damage. Yep, and now I can Earthquake freely. As he goes for a Hurricane, lands it. We do live it, but it's a critical hit. Please, Landorus, just take it out. How does he do it? How does it do it? I was in a very good, comfortable spot, but now things got more difficult. As he U-turns to finish me off. That's pretty bad. That is very bad, but... Specs, Primarina, I believe, should take one hit from that Zapdos, right? If it comes down to it, so I would be doing a lot to it. He goes into Gengar. Yeah, I would leave any one hit from it. But here I believe Hydreigon is the play, because I believe that Zapdos should be two-shotted by Dark Pulse if he swaps into it. So that's really the only play here. As I have to take out my Landorus. As I said, Landorus looked really good, it just got dealt with like that. But we go for Dark Pulse. We do outpace it. This should kill it. Good. And no Curse Body either. And here comes the Zapdos. And I believe my play is to just go for a Dark Pulse here, right? If you're max HP, I should be two-shotting you here. Frankly, the option is also just going to my Metagross, because he might just go for Roost and get himself healthy. So I think I'll do that. Because basically I just need Primarina to get in once and go for a big Moonblast / Scald actually at this point. As he does go for the Hurricane. Now we go for a Toxic. As he goes for Roost. But getting this thing on a timer means that it should be now in range of either my Hydreigon or Primarina. There we go. That's all I needed. That's all we needed. Get this thing on a timer. And at this point I would not actually swap anymore. At this point I would be just clicking Earthquake if he ever tries to Roost. But like Metagross, you kinda did your job just getting that Toxic off. Yep. And we just go for Earthquake again. I'm just letting this go down so I can get my Hydreigon back in freely. And then I can pretty much just click Dark Pulse until the Zapdos dies. Yeah. So the Metagross goes down for my end. I'll just go into my Hydreigon to click my Dark Pulse. Yep, just click Dark Pulse. And try to just finish this off with a star with Hydreigon. Hopefully clinching us a finals appearance. As we do massive amount of damage, because we crit them while at it. Let's go Hydreigon. We don't have to wait around here, wait to be hacked. We just get it done quickly ourselves. Good game to Bruno. Unfortunately, his run does end here, but he had a phenomenal run. He went like 6-3, I believe, when it comes to wins and losses in a regular season, which is a very good defeat for his behalf. He was able to beat a lot of great coaches while at it. He beat it, like for example, week 1, he beat it me. He beat it, who was the other guy? He beat it Shaco King at some point as well that I got to watch. And there were a lot of other coaches on his schedule that were very tough opponents. And coming into semifinals, he actually 6-0'd his run 1. So there was like no questions to me that he deserved to be here and have a chance at finals. So congratulations on him for his season. But for us, we are gonna be going to the Season 2 of Champions of Galar finals, baby. Let's freaking go. I'm so pumped for this. And I really hope I can clinch this title. I'm gonna be going either up against Sven or Addison. Versus Sven, it would be cool to have a redemption similar to Bruno, that they were the only two people that I lost throughout this whole season thus far. And versus Addison, it's kinda obvious why it would be really cool, because we are friends, of course. And in that situation, at least for me, either or of us winning is already a good ending. Because like we've been talking about, like our goal is to obviously help each other and try to get out each other to the finals. Because again, that's what friends are hoping to do for each other. So looking forward to that. Regardless if it's gonna be a redemption arc versus Sven, or it's gonna be a finals to remember with Addison, with our friendship in itself. Either or, I'm gonna be excited to that. Make sure you're checking out their side as well. Of course, Bruno as well being my opponent, but check out the other semifinals between Addison and Sven, and you get to see, if you haven't seen it yet, that who I'm gonna be going up against. Until then, thank you for watching, and I'm gonna be see you guys later.